Hi, Cubs, and we're going to continue our reading of the fabulous Phantom Tollbooth today. Now, yesterday I asked you what was a lesson that we could learn from that chapter, and so many of you agreed. Nishvita, Trinity, Mason, Sarvanch, Diley, Shreya, they all said, don't waste time. And then Sarvanch, Diley, Tanish, Henry, and Caden said, pay attention. It's to pay attention. And then Diley also said it's also about thinking. Like, to think is part of that, too. So I think those are all great answers. And all of them were correct. Because, a lesson is what you can learn. But Miss Canterbury, when I think of it, I think about that last one, that very end. That it's so easy. It's so easy to kind of waste time and to think about other things, but you can accomplish more, you can get more done if you think, with just a little bit of thinking. So, because that's kind of what he says right here, right? He thought of all the detours and wrong turns that were easy to take. So, how easy it is to waste time or to not pay attention, and most of all, how much can be accomplished with just a little thought. So, if you just think a little bit, you can accomplish a lot. So yes, don't waste time, pay attention, and keep thinking. So we're going to start with our with chapter 3 today, and it's called Welcome to Dictionopolis. And if we look here is Dictionopolis, so we must be getting to Dictionopolis today from our long trip in the doldrums. So Milo, remember he still has Tock with him, the watchdog. You must excuse my gruff conduct, the watchdog said after they'd been driving for some time, but you see it's traditional for watchdogs to be ferocious. Milo was so relieved at having escaped the doldrums that he assured the dog that he bore him no ill will. And in fact was very grateful for the assistance. He bore him no ill will. Ill means kind of bad. Ill will. So it says he was very grateful. So maybe he had no bad feelings about him. Maybe that's what that means. So let's see if that makes sense. He wanted to assure the dog that he had no bad feelings about him, and in fact was very grateful for the assistance. Well, that makes more sense. So the next time we get to a spot in our text where we have to stop and think about what it means, I want you to do the thinking about what it could mean. And I'll reread the sentence before, the sentence it's in, and the sentence after, so that you can think about what that means. All right? Now, let's keep going. Splendid, shouted the watchdog. I'm very pleased. I'm sure we'll be great friends for the rest of the trip. You may call me Tock. Oh, that sounded weird when I read it. Can I reread it? I'm sure we'll be great friends for the rest of the trip. You may call me Tock. That's a very strange name for a dog who goes tick, 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 tick all day. Why didn't they call you? Don't say it, gasped the dog, and Milo could see a tear well up at his eyes. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, said Milo, not meaning to hurt his feelings. That's all right, said the dog, getting a hold of himself. It's an old story and a sad one, but I can tell it to you now. When my brother was born, the first pup in the family, my parents were overjoyed and immediately named him Tick, in the expectation of the sound they were sure he'd make. On first winding him, pause, because a long time ago you used to have to wind clocks. You used to have to wind them to work. So, just so you know, there's still some clocks, some really fancy clocks you gotta wind, but most of the clocks now do it themselves. Okay? So, on first winding him, they discovered to their horror that instead of going tick, 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 he went tock, 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 tock. They rushed to the Hall of Records to change the name, but too late. It had already been officially inscribed, and nothing could be done. When I arrived, they were determined not to make the same mistake twice. And since it seemed logical that all their children would make the same sound, they named me Tock. Of course, you know the rest. My brother is called Tick because he goes talk, 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 talk. And I'm called Tock because I go tick, 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 tick. and both of us are forever burdened with the wrong names. My parents were so overwrought that they gave up. Ooh, overwrought. Okay, so there you go. There's a word we don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this paragraph, and then I'm going to go read the sentence before that and the sentence after, and I want you to think of what overwrought might mean. My parents were so overwrought that they gave up on having any more children and devoted their lives to doing good work among the poor and hungry. So let me reread that so we can figure out what overwrought meant. Of course you know the rest. My brother is called Tick because he goes tock, 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 and I'm called Tock because I go tick, 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 tick. And both of us are forever burdened with the wrong names. My parents were so overwrought that they gave up on having any more children and devoted their lives to doing good work among the poor and hungry. So pausing, if you're doing good, if you devote yourself to like doing good work among the poor and hungry, you probably feel pretty bad about something. So maybe it says, my parents felt like overwrought means, they felt so bad. My parents felt so bad that they gave up on having any more children. So if that's kind of what you thought when I reread it, you did a very good job. If you thought it was something else, let me know in the comments after you read this. But how do you become a watchdog? Interjected Milo, hoping to change the subject as Tock was sobbing quite loudly now. That, he said, rubbing upon his eyes, is also traditional. My family have always been watchdogs, from father to son, almost since time began. You see, he continued, beginning to feel a little bit better. Once there was no time at all, and people found it very inconvenient. They never knew whether they were eating lunch or dinner, and they were always missing trains. So time was invented to help them keep track of the day and get to places they should. When they began to count all the time that was available, what with 60 seconds a minute and 60 minutes in an hour and 24 hours in a day and 365 days in a year, it seems as if there was much more that could ever be used. If there's so much of it, it could be very, very valuable, was the general opinion, and soon it began to fall in disrepute. So I'm going to tell you, disrepute means people didn't like it. They thought it was not cool. It was not great. So basically, if there's so much time, then it could be very valuable. So soon people thought it wasn't that great. I want you to think about what you think about that. People wasted it and even gave it away. Have you ever heard your parents say, they gave their time, somebody say, you gave your time to something, right? Anyway, and then we were given the job of seeing that no one wasted time again, he said, sitting up proudly. It's hard work, but a noble calling. For you see, and now he was standing on the seat, one foot on the windshield, shouting with his arms outstretched. It is our most valuable possession, more precious than diamonds. It marches on. It and the tide wait for no man, and... At that point in the speech, the car hit a bump in the road, and the watchdog collapsed in a heap in the front seat, with his alarm ringing furiously. So I want to take back, and I want you to think about if you agree with Tock. He says time is our most valuable possession. That's the most valuable thing that you have. More precious than diamonds. It marches on, and the tide wait for no man. So I want you to think about why Tock says time is the most valuable possession, the most valuable thing you have. Are you all right? Shouted Milo. Grunted Tock. Sorry to get carried away, but I think you get the point. As they drove along, Tock continued to explain the importance of time, quoting the old philosophers and poets, and illustrating each point with gestures that brought him perilously close to tumbling headlong from the speeding automobile. Before long, they saw in the distance the towers and flags of Dictionopolis, sparkling in the sunshine, so there it is. There's Dictionopolis, and look, there's them on their way to Dictionopolis. Miss Canterbury's trying to decide if we should stop or keep going. We're going to finish this next part, and then we are going to pause. In a few moments, they reached the Great Wall and stood at the gateway of the city. Roared the gateman. I can't really get louder than that. Clearing his throat and snapping smartly to attention. This is Dictionopolis, a happy kingdom, advantageously located in the foothills of confusion, and caressed by gentle breezes from the sea of knowledge. Today, by royal proclamation, is market day. Have you come to buy or sell? I beg your pardon? Said Milo. Buy or sell, repeated the gateman impatiently. Which is it? You must have come here for some reason. Well, Milo began. Come now, if you don't have a reason, you must at least have an explanation or certainly an excuse, interrupted the gateman. Milo shook his head. Very serious, said the gateman, shaking his head also. You can't get in without a reason. He thought for a moment and then continued. Wait a minute, I may have an old one you can use. He may have an old reason that he can use. He took a battered suitcase from the gatehouse and began to rummage. Ooh, what's that mean? So he took an old suitcase from the gatehouse and began to rummage busily through it, mumbling to himself. No, this won't do. No, this is fine. This is fine, he cried triumphantly, holding up a small medallion on a chain. Pause. So he's rummaging through the suitcase. Must mean he's looking through the suitcase, right? And moving things with his hands, like going through the suitcase. So he began to go through the suitcase busily. I'll just say skip that through. I was trying to put go through. He began to look busily through the suitcase, mumbling to himself, No, this won't do. No, this is fine, he cried triumphantly, holding up a small medallion on a chain. He dusted it off, and engraved on one side were the words, Why not? That's a good reason for almost anything. A bit used, perhaps, but still quite serviceable. And with that, he placed it around Milo's neck, pushed back the heavy iron gate, bowed low, and motioned them into the city. So I want to point out that when he said he had to have a reason, he didn't just mean like tell me, hey, I want to go to market day. He means he had to have something that said his reason. And now he has a necklace, a gold necklace, I think. It says, no, it didn't. It just says a medallion, which says, why not? As an excuse or a reason. So that's pretty cool. So now he's going to enter Dictionopolis, and that is where we are going to end our reading for today. So what I want you to think about is that question that I asked you earlier, which is, why do you think Tock says time is the most valuable possession? It's more precious than diamonds. Why do you think that he says that? Do you think that that is true? All right, guys. Let me know in the comments. Have a great Thursday.